So this sure looks like a sign of more trouble to come for the Democrats in November. Let's talk. Here now to discuss it, we have Democratic strategist Steve McMahon, Republican strategist Phil Musser, and Florida State House Speaker Will Weatherford. Welcome back, gentlemen. Will, let me begin with you. Mend it, don't end it. You heard Chuck Todd talk about that. That did not work, okay? That did not work for Alex Sink. Will it work at all in the general election, or is it just too weak-kneed? Do people just want to change the whole darn health care plan?
Well, Larry, look, first of all, they've been trying to run away from this bill ever since they voted for it. It's been 4 years since they passed the Affordable Care Act, Obamacare, and they're still trying to hide from that vote. Mend it and don't end it isn't going to work, and I believe that this district was a bellwether. There's no question Sink came into this race. People expected her to win. David Jolly was the underdog, but he won for 3 reasons. Number one, he had a great ground game, and he actually ran a good campaign. Number two, the president is a liability for all Democrats on the ballot in 2013. And number three, Obamacare is exceptionally unpopular in the state of Florida.
You know, Steve McMahon, I got to come back to you. You look at the Wall Street Journal poll today. President's down to 41% approval. I think that's his lowest ever. 65% think wrong track. 57%, now this is a killer, Steve, 57% believe the U.S. is still in recession. That is extraordinary. Now, my point is a simple one. Besides the handicap of Obamacare, there's the handicap of the economy. 4.5 years into it, folks know that this is such a tepid recovery and it's not creating jobs. I don't see how the Democrats get out from under those two problems, Obamacare and a terrible economy.
Well, I think, you know, in a game of rock, paper, scissors, I think your analysis at the beginning, Larry, was right. People are concerned about the economy and jobs first. And I think Democrats win when they talk about what kind of an economy do we want to have. Do we want to have an economy that works just for the very wealthy? Because, after all, they're doing quite well already. And most people feel like the economy isn't working very well for them. That's where Democrats have an advantage over Republicans. And frankly, it's where Democrats need to take the argument this year because, you know, health care reform, you see the numbers. I'm not going to pretend like the numbers are great. They're not. And if Democrats are arguing over health care reform, they're going to get it to even with amend it, don't end it. But we can win on the economy. That's what happened in 2012. Remember, Obamacare was on the ballot in 2012, too. And in this district, President Obama won, because he was talking about the economy, and that's what Democrats need to do.
Well, that was before we knew about the website, and that's before we stifled the Tea Party groups. Now you got Phil Musser. Phil Musser, I'm just going to make a bet here. The GOP needs to keep attacking on Obamacare. And I think the GOP should say, just stop it. Let's stop it, okay? Let's put a moratorium on it. Let's stop the tape, and let's completely redo Obamacare and health care. Let's completely redo it. But the other point is, Republicans do need a growth message. Only 58% of the country is working right now. I don't think it's about the minimum wage. I don't think it's about overtime. I think it's about basically getting a job, which they're not getting. And I think that's a Republican advantage if they can have a message.
Yeah, it's hard to organize and develop and drive a national message. But if you look at other election years that are shaping up like this, leading into 1994, obviously Newt Gingrich was able to fashion an articulate, kind of forward-looking, contract with America plan. The Republican Party should remember that and be thinking about ways to articulate the growth message about the alternative as we come into this fall. But look, just unpacking these numbers a little bit, Larry, I did want to touch on just one thing, which is that 41% number is a truly historic low. We haven't seen that number since President Bush in 2006, and on aggregate, when a president's under 45, you see House races in the 40s to 50s in terms of loss and attrition. That number is also, polls California, it polls New York, it polls a bunch of other places. In states that are swing states for Senate races like Arkansas and Montana and North Carolina, the president's in the mid-30s. That's hugely, hugely significant structural disadvantage.
But yeah, I get you on that. But in a sense, I kind of hate that. I know all about that. But that doesn't win elections. The fact that the president, first of all, the president's not on the ballot. Now, Will, I want to go back to you. We had Marco Rubio, Senator Rubio, on the other night. He's got a very good economic growth message. Regulations, taxes, energy, education, things of that sort. There are many Republicans now. Senator Johnson is coming up with a plan. Paul Ryan has a plan. A lot of them. Eric Cantor has a plan. To me, the Republicans have got to be careful. All right, it's only March. Everybody hates Obamacare. I get that. The numbers are very low. I get that, too. But the GOP's got to show the path. This was the connection they didn't make in 2012. They got to show the path where the middle class will have higher take-home pay and better jobs, okay? And my question to you is, in Florida, you know, all your people running for Congress and so forth, is there a better way? Is there an economic message that will appeal to the middle class?
There absolutely is a better way, and in fact, we're not running away from that debate. We're running to that debate. Obamacare is not going anywhere. That's going to be around no matter how hard the Democrats try to take it off the table. But our growth message is a very simple one. We're not interested in class warfare. We're not interested in having conversations about income inequality a la Bill de Blasio in New York City. We're talking about growth, and the way you grow an economy is two ways. You have an education system that lifts people out of poverty and gives them an opportunity to change the trajectory of their life, and you also embrace the free enterprise system and not attack it.
Which
the state of Florida...
Obama just made, in my opinion, this whole thing, he's going to use an executive order to order American companies how and who to pay overtime. This is I think the Republicans should really rebel. This is anti-free market. This is anti-free enterprise. This is anti-American freedom. Steve McMahon, it ain't going to help you, but I want to ask you this. I got Charlie.
You guys
Cook.
are all here to help me, right? All three of you?
I got Charlie Cook. I just want to get your take. Charlie's got 10 to 13 Democrats. He's a pretty good analyst. 10 to 13 Democratic seats in jeopardy. He's got 2 Republican seats in jeopardy. What's your take on this? I mean, it's not just, you know, Begich and Landrieu and Hagan and Pryor. It's stuff that goes to Mark Udall with Cory Gardner. It's stuff that goes to Shaheen up in New Hampshire if Scott Brown runs. It could even be Eddie Gillespie runs against Mark Warner in Virginia. Tough rate. In other words, Steve, you've been in the consulting game, the strategic game a while. How objectively, how bad is the Democratic story right now here in the middle of March?
Well, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the president's numbers are something that Democrats are gleeful about, but I will say this. If you look at where the electorate is today and you compare it to 2012, when President Obama was going into re-election, there are 2 things. The first is the sour mood of the electorate was present then, and many people thought that whoever the Republican nominee was would beat President Obama. And what happens is that there's a reason that you have a campaign and there's a reason that you have an election, and that is because you cannot, you know, it's one thing for people to say I'm not happy with the economy or the incumbent, which they're saying right now. It's quite another thing to say that I prefer the alternative, which they haven't said right now. And as the Republicans nominate Tea Party candidates, which is what they've done historically in a lot of these Senate races, you'll see that the voter in the middle, the independent and the swing voter that ultimately decides these elections, will look at the alternative and say, you know what, I may have some problems with the incumbent, but I like him a heck of a lot better than the alternative. That's what happened in 2012.
But to that point,
I agree. I want to end this with Will Weatherford, a real elected official down there, Speaker of the House. I'll tell you what, I think Steve McMahon makes a very good point. Republicans licked their chops too early in 2012. And it turned out what they were banking on, which was the lousy economy, didn't pay off because they didn't have a good message that reached out to a lot of middle-class voters and minorities. Will Weatherford, the question is this time, Republicans smacking their chops too soon, or are they going to have a substantive message? Because what Steve says is right. This is not over until it's over. These are just polls in March, and Obama is not on the ballot.
We're not smacking our chops at all. I think the David Jolly-Alex Sink race was an appetizer. We're still waiting on the main course in November. And I can assure you, we're not scared of an economic debate in this country. We don't want a country that's focused on dependency. We want a country that's focused on opportunity and one that embraces the free enterprise system. It's not just a winning message. It's what built America to what it is today. And we can still embrace those principles. We can embrace the idea of education and equal opportunity. And we can turn this country around. And I think we're ready for that debate. I think it's a winning message. And I think you'll see a lot about it over the next couple of months.
Just listen to your pal Kudlow. Don't forget take-home pay. Don't forget after-tax take-home pay. I didn't make this up. I learned it from the master. The master was Ronald Reagan, and that's what attracts the middle class. Steve McMahon, you're a great sport, and we appreciate you being a straight shooter.
Thank you,
Will Weatherford, great to see you. Phil Musser, as always, thanks for what you've done to this show. Now, folks, we had a lot of action.